Okie dokie, we are recording. Cool. Okay, so we're going to work through the session plan template. I use Google Sheets purely because I find it a much easier way to micromanage in the business. I've used all kinds of different things, PDFs, fancy websites, and it just doesn't work specifically for the type of way that I train people on the sort of clarity I like to get us in terms of feedback. So I will not be doing cookie cutter plans, but we use Google Sheets because it's a way for me to be able to communicate with you. We can input a lot of data on here. We can ask each other questions. I sit down every single Friday. I look at your plan. Once I've taken a look at your plan, I'll put in the second week and I will discuss that in just a second. So looking at your plan here, up in the corner there, you will have something written in there. It'll be your name and it will be whatever the program that is. When we come here, we've got the 4Pillars logo. Then we go to the athlete name. So Ben, it would be something like that for myself. Block 1, intention would be T for technical. Okay. What we then have across the bottom is day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. A little bit slow today. Bit of lag, day 3 and day 4, probably because I'm recording. But we have 4 days across the bottom there. You may have 3, you may have 2, you may have 6, you may have 5. That will be decided on the consultation when we start to sign you up. So day 1 here, if we look here, we have week 1 across the top there, week 2, week 3, and week 4. And these columns run down the way. And when I go in on a Friday, for example, I will just copy this column here. I will check your plan and I will paste it in. Once we've done a full 4 weeks, it will look something like that by the end of the month. Okay, but for now, you don't need to worry too much about that. What we need to worry about is what this all means. So week 1, say I was to start here. What does all this mean? Well, follow the link below for the warm-up. This link here takes you to a YouTube video of myself. Let's do that. Let's check it out. All right, this will be the warm-up. So you would, day 1, week 1, do the warm-up first. That's the cognitive section. Cognition, warm-up. There I am doing a 90-90 stretch. Okay, so once you've done the warm-up here, then you go to this A1. A1 here runs on the body weight, high knee walking lunges, sprinter pose. How many sets? 2 of. How many reps? 12. The link for that, here again, we could click on there. It takes you to Vimeo. And I use a combination of both Vimeo and YouTube. That's for my own reasons. And that would have a video of me demonstrating that again. So everything's there for you to see. There shouldn't really be any complications. If you like to see things visually, then there will be an exercise link for every single exercise. This first section is called the cognitive section, warming up. Just don't do anything heavy here. You wouldn't add weights to this. You do body weight as explained, and then you'd write your numbers for that in here. You just write something like body weight times 12, 12. That'll tell me you did the 2 sets here of 12 reps, 12 at body weight, which is this bit here. Boom. All right. So that's where you would record it, and I'll show you the rest. Once you've done that, you go into your first associative task. Associative tasks are generally a skill-based exercise, so something that's going to challenge you in terms of skill as opposed to load at the very start. IPS would mean ipsilateral. If you're new to it, I'll actually write the word. Front foot elevated, FFE would mean front foot elevated. RFE would mean rear foot elevated, for example. Ipsilateral would be down here. So if we look along the bottom here, you can use these links. So there's a little red section there. It says links, understanding tempo, training variables, 4-minute video, 45-minute video. I would recommend watching both, please. Ipsilateral meaning, contralateral meaning. Okay, but if you're training with me at the gym, trust me, you'll know what that means by the end of the first few weeks. B1, so everything as well runs sort of like alphabetically, I can never say the word, anyway, along the alphabet. So A1, B1, C1, D1, E1, blah, 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 blah. If that was a C1 and a C2, that would mean you did them both together. I may even make it easier and write that superset, so you would then know that was the case. But if you just see B1, C1, D1, means you're just doing these exercises by themselves. So anyway, you go to the associative task, front foot elevated split squats, ipsilateral loading, 2 sets of 12. If you see EL, that means each leg, EA, each arm. Intensity, 2 reps in reserve, tempo, 2, 1, 2, 1. Watch the video again, bang, takes you to this. It's going to show you exactly how to do it. The intensity here and the tempo, 2, 1, 2, 1. So when we look at tempo, that would generally mean 2 seconds on the way down, which is the eccentric, 1 second pause at the bottom, 2 seconds on the way up, which is the concentric, and 1 second pause at the top. So it would look like that if you were to put it in the full spectrum. All right, eccentric, pause, concentric, pause. That does not change. Every time you see a tempo, that stands true for every single one. Okay, 2 RIR would just literally mean reps in reserve. If we come here, we could write that in here, what that means. Reps in reserve. So for example, 2 RIR would mean leaving 2 reps in the tank before you fail. Simple. All right. A 1 RIR would mean 1 rep. 3, 3. Simple stuff. So once you've done this exercise section here, you go to autonomous. That's to drive change. So stuff that's going to be a little bit easier to manage in terms of skill, but you can start to load a lot heavier. So for this, dumbbell goblet squats, raised heels, 2 sets of 12, 2 reps in the tank by the end, 2, 1, 2, 1. So 2 seconds on the way down, 1 second pause, 2 seconds on the way up, 1 second pause at the top. Watch the video. Leg extensions, seated, 2 sets of 12, 1 rep in reserve, 2, 1, 2, 2. So that would be 2 seconds down the way with the legs, 1 second pause, squeeze up for 2, hold it for 2, for example. You may even see this like 3 seconds down, 1 second pause, 1 second up, 2 at the top, for example. Watch the video. Again, takes you to there. Super simple, yeah? Hamstring curls, prone means belly down. Simple stuff, all right? Side plank on elbow. Change that color, beautiful, then it all matches. Again, on here, take you to another video. We're utilizing some core work at the end there. All right, done. There's me sitting with a t-shirt, must have been the summer. So when we look at this, we start to track our stuff. Maybe you use 10 kg, 3 sets of 12. On here, maybe you use 15 kg, 3 sets of 12. That would be 3, for example. That could be 3, for example. That could be 4. You know, I mean, maybe we did 4 different weights for this one. Maybe we went 10 kg times 12. Maybe we went 17.5 kgs times 12. Maybe we went 20 kg times 12. Maybe then we got 25 kg times 12. I may then look at that and say, okay, cool. And when you say here, you did 2 sets at 1 minute, you go 60, 60, done, cool. So I can now see that you've done everything. I go in on the Friday, scoop that over, copy and paste. I might come down here and say, okay, well, they've done 4 sets. Maybe I'll write in here, start at 25 kg. And then I'll put that in red so you cannot miss it. Maybe I will change this here to 4. And then I'll put these little arrows in, 2, 3, 4. And I'll change that to red so that you can see that that's a change that's been made. And as the weeks go on, I go in that Friday, I do it again, copy it all. Ooh, make it easier for myself, do that. I copy it again, and maybe we go back in, I say this one here, maybe you did seated leg extensions, 30 kg times 12, 12, 12, and 12. Maybe I say here, start at a heavier weight, for example, you know what I'm saying? And then that starts to give you indications of how you can then do it. So rather than me just giving you a cookie cutter plan from day one, you start to then have the ability to track, log, manage with me as we go forward. And that would work the same on all of these days. All of these days are exactly the same. Look at the exercise, look at the data that's on it. Like if this is just a template, so I then need to choose one of these 2. I'll choose something that goes in there, for example, depending on where you're at and current skill level, strength levels. But that's fundamentally how that plan works. And just remember, like, tracking your sessions is so important. If you don't track your sessions, guess what? I don't know if you're getting stronger. I don't even know if you're training. Maybe I come on a Friday, there's been nothing inputted, and I'm like, okay, cool. Well, have they even trained this week? Have they done anything this week? Or are they just not at the gym? And then when I text you and say, hey, have you been training this week? And you're like, yeah, man, I've done all my sessions. It's like, well, I need to see what you've done, because if I can't see what you've done, then I don't have this crystal ball to be able to see what's going on. So fundamentally, being able to track your food and your steps and stuff works, but so does this. And this is really, really important. And I reiterate this to all of my clients and athletes every day. And those that get the best results track all their sessions on a weekly basis. Once we get to week 4, and like I said before, once it's like this, and you've written in all your numbers here, 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 and here, all the way down, then I send you out a new plan, because we now see that you have done what you need to do to get a new plan in place. We then put the progressions in, we keep it steady, and we just kind of move steadily through that. And that is basically how I manage your setup. So hope you've got pen and paper. If you've got any questions, write them down, ask me as you need to. Not all plans will look like this in terms of exercise selection, but this is a template that I may use. After we've done the assessment, I just basically cut and paste from my database. I could show you that, in fact. So I have a database here. Let's wait for that to load up. A big database of exercises, so embarrassing if it didn't come on. Anyway, so as you can see here, everything blue, some links, definitely. Like, so for legs, cables, maybe I chose like this one here, take that out, maybe, okay, cool, leg extensions, let's just get this one here, copy and paste, and then that way you have the video that you need from me, essentially. And that's how I manage it, and we use that all the time. That does not change. So I hope that makes sense. Enjoy.